The Vancouver Canucks take a 3-1 series lead after winning 4-3 in overtime in a historic comeback. We'll get into this later on in this episode, but before I start, I just wanted to say to thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long giving you updates from all around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is the Canucks comeback. Now, if you did watch the game, if you missed it, I'm sorry because you missed an outstanding game. But the Vancouver Canucks win 4-3 in overtime in Nashville against the Nashville Predators. We see Brock Boeser just kind of take over this game, scoring 3 goals to get the hat trick. And of course, Elias Lindholm seals the deal in overtime, and this game alone was electric. I mean, when you look at the stats, obviously, once again, the Canucks got outshot, which is not great, but they got the win, so who really cares at this point? But you can see the Canucks did kind of dominate in the faceoffs. They didn't score on the power play, but once again, they held the Predators scoreless on their power play. We see the penalty minutes were even. The Canucks were physical once again. The block shots were in favor of the Vancouver Canucks, which feels like the first time this entire series. We see the giveaways were about even, and the takeaways, obviously, Nashville led in. But overall, Griffin, what's your thoughts on this game? Because this was, in my opinion, one of, if not the best Canucks comeback ever.
Yeah, Mark, it was quite the game. It was a very lethargic third period, but once they got going in that final 3 minutes, it was exhilarating. I was up on my feet for the final 3 minutes, jumping around my living room. I was losing my mind. The energy was insane. My cousin probably wanted to commit me to an insane asylum, to be honest. It was great to see Boeser put the team on his back and see one of the core four really finally break out, start putting the puck in the net instead of just getting secondary assists or just assists in general. And I think it's the jump start that this team needed because this offense was very uninspired for the first entire game, really. Aside from Boeser getting the goals start in the first minute, after that it was kind of just Nashville just dominating and slowly just bleeding them dry. And then it was that final 3 minutes when Boeser just broke through and just said, "Hey, follow me, boys," and then Lindholm sealed it.
Yeah, it was crazy to see the Canucks not once but twice in 2 games score on their first shot. But the biggest storyline, in my opinion, obviously you have Boeser, you have Lindholm. But one of the biggest storylines was the fact that Silovs just shined in this game. I mean, we've seen a goaltender come in that has never played in the NHL playoffs before. As you can see here, just at the age of 23, first playoff game, 1 win, 900 save percentage, and this guy was outstanding. And obviously, people just kind of, or players spoke on him, and he spoke on the game himself. He said, "It's like incredible. It's a great feeling," he told reporters Sunday after he found out he would be in net for the game. The 23-year-old was obviously wasn't nervous, sorry, to get into his first NHL postseason game. And then we also seen Elias Lindholm speak on it too, saying, "Come in here, it's a tough building to play in," and he made some big saves for us. We didn't play our best game, but we stuck with it, and we needed the big stop for him. So it was huge. And what was your thoughts on just the goaltending in this game?
I thought Silos was pretty astounding in his first playoff appearance. He had a few unfortunate goals, which were victim of circumstance. There was the Nyquist goal where he did get beat one-on-one, but Zadorov had to take away the back door, and Silos just had bad glove placement. But overall, he played a very good game. He was one of the standouts aside from Boeser for sure because he came in here his tenth career start and his first career playoff start, and came out of it with a victory. And he had the early game jitters when Nashville scored that first goal, but once he got through that, he was solid throughout. And it took a few lucky bounces for Nashville to take the lead, and then after that, he was golden.
Yeah, the biggest thing with the Canucks too is kind of like Lindholm was saying, it was just big for him to come in playing in this hard arena. And the biggest thing with him is this wasn't at home. He's going to be electric if they do end up starting him. And it's funny enough that the Canucks were the first team to have 3 different goalies earn victories in the same playoff series since the Vancouver Canucks in 2004 against the Flames. So just seeing that the Canucks have just 3 solid goaltenders in their net that they can use and deploy during the playoffs has been a big part for this team, and a big reason why this team has been successful and having a 3-1 series lead. But I did want to get into the fact that Brock Boeser just almost saved the Canucks this game. Just looking at the score, like we were kind of talking about, Boeser with his hat trick, 3 goals, +2, 8 shots on goal. He played 22 minutes. And I mean, what's your just thoughts on this? How do you think how he played? And what was your thoughts and reaction after he scored the game tying goal?
I thought Boeser, like you said, how that Bridgestone Arena is a very tough arena to play in, and he took the energy completely out of that arena with the final two goals where he just said, "Hey, I'm just going to call game when I want it." And I was losing my mind. I was screaming. I had given up hope almost in the last 10 seconds, but that lucky bounce happened, and he was right there to jump on top of it. And it was one of those games where I was waiting for someone to break through, and it was him, and it was also a testament to how tough this Vancouver Canucks team is, where no matter who's in net, they can try and rally behind them. And another person who definitely illustrated that was Quinn Hughes, and where he was getting knocked around all game, he was drawing the attention away from Nashville, and Boeser was left untouched, and he was able to find the net for him.
Yeah, seeing him break Nyquist's ankles too, that was just outstanding. I'll say that was a
Yep.
Norris caliber move, and I think Quinn Hughes deserves it from that play alone, and obviously his play in the regular season. But just looking at this, Brock Boeser was obviously the second start of the game, which might be surprising to some of you, but this gets into the third topic today, which is Elias Lindholm buries the winner. And obviously, like we said, Elias Lindholm scored the game winner. He assisted on the game tying goal. And in my opinion, Lindholm was the complete player, and the most complete player, I should say, for the Vancouver Canucks all game. And what was your thoughts on Lindholm?
I thought Lindholm played one of his best games in a long time, and especially since coming to Vancouver, we were waiting for him to have like that one breakout game, and I think this was finally it. He had some pretty solid games here and there, but this was the game where he said, "You know what? I have arrived in Vancouver, and now we can ride this throughout into Game 5."
Yeah, that's the big thing. And with Lindholm, too, like we were saying, he had a goal, he had an assist, he had one shot, he was a +1. He played 17 minutes. And just watching his dominance on this team, not only on the score sheet of putting up an assist, putting up a goal, he was great on the faceoffs, and he's been a huge focal point of this Canucks penalty kill, which has held Nashville quite scoreless, honestly. They have one goal in this entire series on the power play, and Lindholm's a huge part about that. What's your thoughts on his impact on the penalty kill?
I think it's been huge. I think the penalty kill has been one of the most underrated things with Vancouver in this series. And that has been a big struggle throughout the entire season where they were giving up a lot of shorthanded goals, but they have really shored that up, and they've only given up one of them in this series, especially when they have finally gotten that power play up and running for themselves. Special teams is going to come into a big factor coming down the stretch of this series and later on in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, the biggest thing is too, we're seeing the penalty kill be so dominant. We're finally starting to see the bigger guys step up. Boeser stepped up. JT Miller's been good. Obviously, we're waiting on Pettersson to eventually do something for the Canucks. But the biggest thing is once they do finally find their footing, once they get their feet wet with more goals, get the power play going, this team is going to be lethal. I mean, we see them take a 3-1 series lead. So it's just a matter of time and they get everything going, that this team is going to be one of the hardest teams in the West to beat. What's your guys' thoughts on all this? I know it's a lot to take in. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been drinking a bit of Kool-Aid tonight. I'm sure everyone's super fired up and electric. What's your thoughts? Who do you think starts game 5 if both goalies are healthy? What's your thoughts on the lines? What's your thoughts on this game? Is this the best comeback in Canucks history? Let us know down in the comments. But with that, we'll get into the last topic today, which is comment of the day. And oh, sorry, there was one more thing before I get into that. Jeff Pettersson was just kind of talking about how the room was quiet after the game. Before that, the game 3, they were super loud, and he was saying how he was shocked that they just left the game with a heist. But with that, we'll get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day is multiple points on this. We see the first one being Cash McGregor say, "You didn't talk much about the penalty kill being 5-0. Shout out to PDG on the outstanding work." And with the Canucks, during this stretch, Nashville scored on the power play in game 1. They were 1 for 4. After that, they've been 0 for 4, 0 for 5, and 0 for 2. The Canucks just have been dominant on the penalty kill, and that is a huge thing to point out. Like you see the other comments, the penalty kill has been amazing the whole series. They see how Lindholm has been anchoring it down, how it's jumped up from 76% all the way up to 92% over the past 3 games against Nashville. And just overall, this Canucks team is finally clicking. Like you were saying earlier, Griffin, we're starting to see the full extent of what Lindholm and what they traded for to get Lindholm. I think this Canucks team is going to be hard to beat. I think everything's starting rolling. Do you think they finally score a power play next game?
I think absolutely. I think now they're going into Vancouver with a lot more motivation than they would have if they had come out with a loss today. I really think that the building is going to be electric. They're going to taste the second round in the air. They're going to want it. And I think Nashville is going to be playing a little bit off kilter, so they might be a little bit undisciplined, more willing to be in the box. Well, not willing, but at least getting caught more in the box. And with Boeser getting it started for the core four, I think Boeser and I think another one of the core four is definitely going to show up in Game 5, and I think it's going to help seal the deal for Vancouver.
Yeah, it's the big thing. We're going to see Nashville playing almost an urgency style of hockey. They're going to make the risky plays. They're going to do things. And I think it's just a matter of time before the Canucks do advance. But that'll be it for this episode of Canucks Digest. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go down, hit that like button, leave a comment. You could be featured on the next episode as comment of the day. But with that, I'm super excited. I'm sure everyone else here is excited. Take care.